can't call me names on my video stream.
Call the meeting to order. Need a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Motion's been made. Seconded. Any discussion on the motion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Basically, only item on the agenda is to discuss the potential of action on the coronavirus. And yesterday we met. Our one thing that we gave direction on was to figure out, how we're going to keep everything functional. We all got a copy by email of the 12 pages of the order. I read through it, talked to Mr. Davis, talked to Gary Wine a little bit this morning. Norwood was in conversations with Alan and Gary, and basically the order is no different than what we've been doing for the last week, in my opinion. And I actually had a conversation with Bill Kern this morning from the health department, and we all agreed that it seems like it's like the governor says, we're going to proceed with caution. Everybody has to be more sanitized than ever before. We're trying to keep everything wiped down and clean and keep everything functional. So with that direction we gave Mr. Davis yesterday, we find, I believe, Mr. Davis, you correct me if I'm wrong, or not unless you want to take over from here, but business in the county government will stay the same. If you notice, we had everybody, Jack went around and put tape down to keep people from a certain distance away. And so we need to make sure that our budget for the following year that we've already set is going to be functioning well. You heard, I don't know if you heard, but the president had a town hall meeting basically on the way. When I was coming in, I was listening to it, and there's his concerns is I've got concerns on both sides of the fence. I got concerns about the medical side, about the virus spreading. I also got concerns about what our overall economy will be and what our business atmosphere would be on the aftermath of the things being shut down. So, Mr. Davis, you want to go ahead and talk? What we're going to have in front of you today is what we're doing in the government and what we propose to do for Berkeley County Council government and the government in whole. We'll take a vote to make sure everybody feels the same way. So, Mr. Davis?
Most of the calls that we're getting are from local businesses that are concerned that we are going to shut up, that we're going to close our doors, we're not going to be able to provide them with services. And we've been assuring everyone that we talk to that that is not our intent. I've talked to all of your departments, not necessarily the elected officials. We know that the sheriff's department is going to operate. We know that the prosecuting attorney has a plan in place, that they're operational, they'll not miss a beat. What I'm recommending to the council after talking to the departments, our employees want to work. We talked to the employees in your office. None of our employees want to be sent home. We all have work to do. So what I'm recommending to the council is to take some cautionary steps. Beginning at 8 a.m. tomorrow, I'm recommending that our buildings be locked down. That we, for example, in this building, we put a sign on the West Stevens Street door that said public entrance and exit will be on the Raleigh Street side unless they need accessible entry, and then they can come in off through the door by the water tower. The courts have greatly curtailed the number of cases. However, I met with Mike again this morning. Chief Marshal Lang says they have to have a presence in the judicial center because of magisterial duties with the courts. So they will be open, but they don't need, because circuit court's not in session much, they don't need all of the deputies, the deputy court marshals that they have. So what if the council approves, we're going to put a deputy court marshal on all of our doors. So the door that's open.
We're going to have one door open to ingress, Raleigh Street side.
So what will happen is if I'm a member of the public, I'm going to go up to the door. The deputy marshal's going to ask me why I'm there. I'm going to say I need to go to permits and file for a permit. I'm going to look at the list. We're going to do a spreadsheet. He's going to say, okay, right now there's no one up there. So come on in, hold your hands out. We got 1,500 bottles. Yeah, 1,500 bottles of hand sanitizer.
Did Tracy go and poured everything?
No, actually, Chad got it. He put the word out on social media that we needed them, and it was delivered to him yesterday.
Wow.
Donated.
Wow.
So, and it's the
Small
ones, and it actually comes with a clip that you can put on your belt. So you're going to come in. They're going to say, "Okay, Mr. Davis, hold out your hands." Squirt my hands with hand sanitizer, and then I'm going to go up. And if you go in, you probably saw it in our suite. There's a caution tape. We're going to have a sign.
Wish to go into it. Did you?
Go up to the caution tape. There'll be a sign to say, wait until you're called, and then go about your business. Mike has agreed that we can do that. So we'll not only have one person on the door in this building, we'll have 2 additional deputy court marshals that's just going to walk through the building, make sure that social distancing is occurring, make sure everything is flowing well. Going to do the same thing at 100 West King, because as you know, deeds need to be recorded, things like that. I talked to Tim, met with Tim early this morning.
All the professional services are essential for the building.
Right.
So they have research to do on the research
Correct.
and all that stuff.
We've got accounts set up, Zoom accounts. No? Right. Okay. So we have procedures in place that services through the DRC will continue.
With change.
With some changes, but everyone will receive, and we're going to even continue to do drug testing. Drug testing will be done by appointment. It takes 10 to 12 minutes from the time someone comes in until the time they walk out the door to do a drug test. So we're going to schedule drug tests every 15 minutes. And we'll have a court martial down at DRC only to make sure that social distancing is occurring. We want all of our employees to work. Through this week, everyone will report to work. We've already done payroll through the 15th or through the 30th. All of our employees will work. If an employee so chooses that they don't want to work, they're fearful, they don't want to come to work, they will be laid off. My recommendation to the council is that we not pay public employees to sit at home. We have work from home. The ones that will be affected the most are non-public safety part-time employees. If we have work for them, of course, they'll be scheduled, but chances are that will be curtailed because we'll have more than enough full-time employees. I've met with Gary, I met with Norwood, Mike, Tim, Brian, everyone's on board. We want to work, we want to provide services, but we want to exercise an abundance of caution as we do it, and we think we can do it.
And Mr. Davis and I have been talking and communicating about this for quite a while now. The other thing is, if a person so chooses that they don't want to come to work for some reason, and they choose to be laid off, it's not, they don't have the flexibility to call us up one day and say, hey, I want to come to work tomorrow. We'll let you know when we need you. That's what we're recommending to do. We're up for discussion, but if you read the order last night, most reads is business as normal. Listen to the president today on his town hall meeting. I'm thinking by Easter, 19 days away, the country will be back to business as usual. What all the indications he gave to pretty clear. So, anybody have any questions for Mr. Davis on his recommendation, and actually my recommendation too? Dan?
I do. I've got. I'd like to. See if you're allowing somebody to be laid off, is that laid off without prejudice, and is it? I don't necessarily agree with the way that you're going to bring them back. In my opinion, I think that if this mandatory restrictions is lifted, then at that point they should be automatic that they come back at that point, provided they're not ill, and if they choose not to, then that's a whole nother issue.
Well, yeah, Dan.
But,
I mean, if it's lifted and we're back to normal, sure. I'm not saying that.
What the usual?
I think there's some.
What the usual?
So I mean, we don't want someone to say, okay, I'm off, but then I'm ready to come back to work in 2 days from now.
No. I totally
Gotta be something.
paid off, and they choose to go that way, then it lasts until the governor lifts the restrictions, and once the restrictions are lifted, then they need to come back, and if they don't,
Would they be eligible for unemployment? That's what I thought, okay.
The other thing that we'll be taking into account, President.
But all offices have to be functional,
Yes.
regardless.
Oh, absolutely.
So each department head and each elected official has to make sure their offices are functional.
And I am concerned about two offices in particular that, if you look at the assessor's office, it's shut up tight right now. We need to make sure that that offices are open for business. The president did pass a federal order. It does allow employees that take off work for purposes of health and concern, that effective April 2nd, they're entitled to 80 hours of paid leave.
If someone is sick,
If they take off.
There's no restriction with the no or anything.
There's no restrictions. It's my understanding. I'll look at it.
So we'll look at the federal law.
I thought was
Was that through the FMLA?
Had to be sick.
No,
Sorry.
that was a special
Special,
executive
special,
order.
okay.
Basically,
can't
we're going
remember
to say
what
we're going to follow all federal
Right.
laws.
Right.
We're not going to break the law, but This is where we stand.
We'll look at it closely.
And we will, we may have to change some duties. For example, Brian and I talked about probably we're not gonna need 4 permit technicians at the front counter. So initially, we're gonna have 2 working at the counter from, say, half a day from 8 until 1. And the other 2 permit technicians will be helping to catch up on some fouls and looking at UNOs, whatever else that needs to be done. And then in the afternoon, they'll switch. So we've got, and Gary certainly has enough work for his staff. All of your county council staff wants to work. So that's our recommendation.
There's a home consortium meeting scheduled for Friday in the planning commission. You guys know about that?
How many people?
10.
Why would they have them in the planning commission?
It's had it for, well, because Bill Clark is, not planning, but Region 9
Oh,
type.
Region 9.
That's rather confined space.
I'm just telling you.
I would, especially something like that, Jim, I would recommend them to have it up in the cafeteria. Yeah, basically just clean up after yourself. Put down the area that you've been at. And
The senior citizens are meeting Wednesday at 3 o'clock, but they're using the cafeteria. So,
And Alan talked with and with Brian this morning. We're gonna ask the folks in the planning to remain as much as possible in their offices, not congregate. So
He actually delivered work to him yesterday, so he's reviewing plans. He hasn't been released to come back to work again. But he's actually reviewing plans for us now.
all right, so anybody have any other questions? Basically, the motion is going to basically say that, county businesses move forward with the option of elected, there may be some people that will elect to be laid off. And the criteria to be reinstated in a job is based upon the return to work order. And the other thing is that we'll follow all federal and state regulatory guidelines.
And that will apply to all departments.
All departments and all elected.
move to implement that motion.
second.
Motion been made, seconded. Any discussion on the motion? If not, all in favor say aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Let the record show 5-0.
Does that include restricting access to the building as I explained?
Yes.
Is that okay?
Yes, as you explained.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
We have one more matter for the council's attention. Yesterday, this council directed us to put together an order for the freeze of non-essential spending, which Mr. Bentley did. You'll find it in front of you. I'm requesting that the council review that and take the appropriate action. And if you approve it, give Mr. or President Copenhagen the authority to sign it.
Mr. President, I move to freeze non-essential spending as per the memo for Doug Copenhagen to be authorized to approve any non-essential spending or the denial of such.
All right, motion's been made. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded. Any discussion on the motion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? The motion carries. Dan, did you want to vote?
I'm going to recuse myself from that since I am unable to look at the document and you guys did not read it.
Okay.
It's an excellent document, Dan.
Here, Dan, I'll hold it up to the phone. Can you see it?
I'm trying, but I'm driving, so it's a little difficult.
I can snap a picture of it and send it to you in a text.
Do you want
Probably
us,
still not a good idea to read it
do you want
while
us,
I'm driving.
do you want us to read it to you so you can vote on it?
If it's up to you, if you guys want to, if somebody wants to read it, I'll be glad to cast the vote.
All right, it says, before the County Council, Berkeley County, West Virginia, freeze on non-essential spending. The County Council in emergency session on Monday, March 23rd, 2020, discussed the current health crisis with which the county, state, and nation are contending. In evaluating the current budget and considering the effects of the circumstances of closed businesses and out-of-work employees may have on a tax collection and other revenue sources necessary to the budget, the council recognized that certain precautions must be taken to protect as much as possible the services provided by the county to our residents. Accordingly, it is the order of the council that all non-essential spending by the various departments and offices of Berkeley County government are hereby frozen during the remainder of the current fiscal year, 2020 fiscal year. This freeze is effective immediately and shall remain in force through June the 30th, 2020. Constitutional officers may appeal any decision of the council not to approve expenditures directly to the council. Council encourages such officers to discuss expenditures considered by them with council on a case-by-case basis prior to ordering any commodities and or services if they have questions concerning the essential nature of the contemplated expenditures. All of the above is ordered, adjudged, and decreed pursuant to declarations and emergency adopted by council on March 17, 2020.
And Mr. President, I would note that in the third paragraph, beginning with accordingly, on the second line, R should be is.
Okay.
My mistake.
That's what it reads.
I would like to change my vote to yes, I approve it.
Okay, all right, so let the record show it's 5-0 that we do approve, but it's non-essentials order.
With the one change in.
Yes. All right.
One more matter.
Okay.
Mr. Bentley?
I thought
Call.
that, I'm
I'm
sorry.
sorry. I mean, Dan changed the vote. We'll go with the question.
All right. Go ahead.
I thought that planning commission meetings and public hearings for both bodies ought to be addressed by an order. I put that in front of you. And the number one, the public shall not be permitted to attend the meetings, hearings, or persons during the current health crisis. For scheduled public hearings, such hearings will be live streamed on social media and to Comcast Channel 10 by WRNR and our own website. I'm not sure that's possible. Number three, written comments and questions may be sent via email and or snail mail and will be considered if received prior to the commencement of the scheduled hearing. Any questions posed by the public shall be responded to by the planning commission personnel and or engineers during the hearing. Call-in telephone number shall be posted and placed on the planning commission and council websites so that the public may participate in required public hearings by telephone if desired. That way we could go ahead with public hearings.
This will affect the planning commission more than it does the council, because right now we don't have any public hearings
The only thing I think
scheduled.
there needs to be a timeline put on this. How many days do they have for us to receive a comment? Did you have that somewhere?
I didn't say, all I said was that the comments or questions must be received prior to the beginning of the hearing.
Beginning of the year.
Right. We announce hearings 21 days in advance, so they could send them in 21 days
Okay,
up till the time they hear.
okay.
If that, I mean, that's what I suggested. You can make it in.
Well, no, I'm thinking if it's directly, then they may have typically you could have a little bit of, you would get some type of response back to the question. I just want to make sure that we have that procedure in place.
Well, any questions that are posed, I think I've said would be answered at the hearing.
Okay. All right. Any questions on that? Dan, did you hear all that?
Well, I did.
Okay, all right.
So if you want to do that, I'll put it in the form of an order.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. All right. Is that the direction you want Mr. Bentley to go in?
Yes.
I believe so.
Okay. Is that all?
Does the council wish to meet tomorrow still?
Let's keep it on as an agenda, and I'll call you in the morning. We'll let you know whether we can feel like we can cancel or not.
Okay,
But right
you'll
now,
have the order.
if so, we could probably call in if we did do it. All right, that's
So we're not gonna have any public hearings until Monday, so we could take care of that Thursday.
right.
Everybody okay with that?
Yes, sir.
Okay with that, Dan?
Yes, I am.
All right. Anything else?
That's it.
Okay,
Gary.
Mr. Barnhart,
Anything? I move to recess.
we are recessed. Thank you, Dan.
Yeah, did you guys have a train come through there or something?
That was me.
Yeah.